And I am so grateful that we have made it back in the chat room another Saturday right here on Doctor2Doctor on 94.7 FM. So happy to have you guys back. I'm always excited to hang out with you for this hour. And as I say, every Saturday, make sure that you're taking really, really good care of yourselves. Whatever that looks like for you, make sure that you are doing just that because we want to make sure that you are okay. All right. Make sure you're drinking that water because it's hot, hot, hot. We've got another great show coming up for you today, all about discovering your purpose. You know, finding purpose in life is one of those things that most people want, but it sounds really great, but it doesn't seem so simple, right? To attain. If you spend a lot of time thinking about your own purpose, you might have some preconceived ideas about your purpose in life because we have these baked in ideas about life that come from our family and come from the way that we grew up. You know, we end up thinking that our purpose in life is about things like getting married and having children and earning a certain amount of income or having a certain position in society. But these types of achievements often don't bring the kind of fulfillment that comes with finding your personal sense of purpose. A personal sense of purpose is a less specific end goal and more about an ongoing impact that you have on the world, whether it's large or small. But that purpose is your why. It's your why. This personal sense of purpose is going to guide and sustain you day to day and throughout the years, even when you have setbacks and the world seems like it's turning upside down. Purpose will give you that stability and a sense of direction. That's why finding purpose is essential for living a healthy and a happy life. So, what is purpose? I think it's a question that's worth asking. And I certainly believe that it's a question that's worth trying to answer. And we want to figure out, like, let's dive into this discussion today with our very special guest and determine what is purpose in life. Why does it even matter? And how do we find it? So we're going to do that by talking to our guest today, James Bond. You heard me right, James Bond. Not many people can proclaim being born to serve people, but that's exactly the destiny preordained for our guest today, Coach James Bond. After many years of working in senior management level positions for companies such as Sam's Club, Best Buy, Pep Boys, Comp USA, and a dealer partner for Mercedes-Benz and senior management for Audi, BMW auto dealers, Coach Bond discovered that his greatest joy as a manager came from developing and inspiring his staff to reach their goals both personally and professionally. In 2008, he made the decision to dedicate his life towards bringing out others' success. With the completion of the John C. Maxwell Independent Certified Coaching and Speaking Program in August of 2014, Coach Bonds has positioned himself to fully implement his gift and purpose of serving others. He is a husband, a father, and a grandfather of two. And he resides in Dallas, Texas. He is a past Toastmaster VPPR elected 3 years in a row. As founder and CEO, Coach Bonds launched WellDrivenLife.com, an online environment for people to experience engaging, honest, and unbiased life-changing and motivational content. Having Coach Bonds as a life coach is a highly personal experience. He shares his own lived experience and life lessons and toolbox of resources to help his clients realize their potential and to live in their purpose. Living a well-driven life is making the commitment to adopt a lifestyle that leads to health and wellness in every area of life. Coach Bond's approach to life performance coaching is a two-way process designed to directly impact the choices that most affect a person's personal and professional outcomes. From CEO to secretary to recent college graduate, Coach Jane Bonds believed that life performance coaching is a benefit to all. And we are delighted to have him in the chat room with us today. Coach Bond, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much for the invite. I appreciate the opportunity to be on Doctor2Doctor.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So I'm excited to have this chat because I think so many of us are struggling with our why, right?
Yes.
And too many of us are waking up every day helping others fulfill their why and walk into their purpose
Yes.
and dragging our feet on our own purpose. So let's talk about it, okay? Speaking of waking up every day fulfilling our own purpose, I wake up every day and I'm trying to figure out, am I going to work? Am I going to a job?
Yes.
What are we doing? Help us
Well,
figure
that's
out what we're doing.
well, that's awesome you said that, because a lot of my clients are struggling with that over years. So this will be my 15th year in business this coming August. And so what I tell people, there's a big difference between work and between a job.
Mm-hmm.
A job is what you use to pay the bills. A work is what you were born and put on earth to do.
Mm.
Now the difference is going to be, we have some of us have to do both for a while, but I tell people to get in the habit, get in the just because I call it a hard calendar situation.
Mm-hmm.
Get in the habit of doing your job if it's 9 to 5, for instance. Then when you do it that job that makes you get the lights on and the food in the fridge for the family, that from 5 to midnight, you concentrate on your work. In other words, why you were here, why are you here? There's things you can do. My new book out is about discovering your purpose. But there's things that you can do to figure out your why, or your work, because your work has to get done, and only you can do the work that you were assigned to do.
Mm. Um, how do we figure out what our purpose is?
Well, the one step I'll do to say to ask yourself on a daily basis. First of all, what are you good at?
Mm-hmm.
What are you good at? But also, more importantly, what brings you joy? In other words, what did you do that day, looking back, that can make you lay your head on the pillow and actually get rest?
Mm.
If you haven't done that, you have to start journaling and ask yourself that question daily and be on purpose. The one question I ask my clients, which is in my book as well, is what did you do to change someone else's life today?
Wow.
What did you do? Did you say, hey, you're a good person? The person you were weighed on you? Did you say, not only a tip, did you just tell them to their face, you know what? You have a great spirit, or you're a good person,
Mm-hmm.
or you're good at what you do,
Mm-hmm.
or I appreciate you. Because too many of us go through life waiting for accolades, something that we did that we're supposed to anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So you risk that chance of missing someone who may need you to say, hey, you're a good person today, or you're good at this, to remind them that, you know what, this job is great, but I really need to keep focusing on my work. So in other words, what is it that completely just sat, what would you do? You hear the old term in the cliche of what would you do for free? And people think that's just a cliche, but I found over the years myself, when I started coaching in 2008, I really had that aha moment. I would do this for free. Now we have to get paid our value, but the point is that statement helps you realize, you know what, this is something I need to do. So, for instance, I'll make the story short,
No.
but I had a client years ago on the West Coast
Mm-hmm.
called me up. He says, I'm a CEO, I'm 57 years old, and I was referred to. Okay. So that's what he said. I'm dying. What do you mean you're dying? He said, I'm dying in my office today because I absolutely hate coming to work.
Mm-hmm.
I hate coming to my job. I hate coming. I'm like, okay, well, let's set a time to schedule a meeting, which I scheduled, got on the calendar, and flew out to meet him. And I'm like, okay, so walk me through the process. So what we realized is that this person had gone to college, had figured out what they were good at,
Mm-hmm.
which was at the time was marketing.
Mhm.
got out of college, marketing degree, got with a marketing firm, was a top performer. So after about 6 months, 7 months or so, owner says, "Man, you're killing it here. I'm retiring soon, so let's work a plan out for you to buy me out and take over the company."
Mhm.
Well, he did that. So, but he woke up 27, 29 years later and realized that he hated what he did.
Yeah.
The issue was for him was that he was working in his talent only, and what he was good at was marketing. But he missed the opportunity to find his work, his joy. What about that do you love? So I worked on only about 3.5, 4 months roughly. Which it could take short or it could take time. But in
Mhm.
his case, it took 3.5, 4 months. And I said, okay, what do you just get a three? What was your first job you got paid?
Mhm.
Ice cream stand. Okay, let's go way back. Ice cream. Okay, lemonade stand. Okay. Next point, I worked at ice cream shop in junior high. Okay. Ice cream shop, soda shop, high school. I was okay. Why didn't you go into that business out of college? Well, because my friends said it was a stupid idea, and I was top my class in marketing.
Mhm.
Okay. So the issue is that you let your circle of influence keep you where they wanted you to be instead of where you're supposed to be.
Mhm.
So long story short, he wound up selling his marketing company and he bought an ice cream shop of all things. So, and his wife called me. She says, "I'll thank God for you because he's been gone for 20 some years from himself.
Mhm.
He is back. He is skipping to
Wow.
work. He's excited because, again, his case, he was so good at his talent that it overshadowed his work.
Mm.
And he missed the opportunity that his main work in this case was bringing joy to people, was bringing memories. There's an ice cream shop. You have little kids making memories, and you
Mhm.
have senior citizens recalling memories.
Yeah.
And that's what he was put on earth to do to help that process take place. So it took him almost 30 years to find out, but he found out.
Mhm. That reminds me of a line in the movie Sister Act when Whoopi Goldberg says, "If you go to bed thinking about singing and you wake up thinking about singing, you're probably a singer, right?"
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
it was the whole idea was about doing what you love.
That's right.
So is purpose this thing that's set in stone, or is it this continuous process?
Well, I believe it's assigned, it's set in stone before you were born. Your assignment was set in stone for you.
Mm.
I'm a person of Jesus believer, and I believe that you were assigned, your assignment was set before you were born.
Mhm.
But now you can have, again, people have gifts, they have talents, they have, things they're good at, but really to hone in on what you do. There's a lady I had me years ago, opened up a restaurant, and restaurants, of course, like everything new, it takes off and then starts scaling down and starts scaling down. So she freaking out. So I sat with her after about maybe 2 weeks, finally got out of her. She loved to cook. Well, just because you love to cook, don't mean open a restaurant.
Right.
That means you may need to be an investor. That means you may need to be a chef, a
Mhm.
partner.
Mhm.
And so I had her, I suggested to her, I don't tell her, I suggested to her, you need to sell quickly and maybe stay on as a chef or as a partner. But I said, this is not your lane. Your lane is the divineness of cooking, the excitement of cooking, the excitement of being a chef, the excitement of creating things. But when you walk out there on the floor and you don't like to be around people, then you're probably not an owner of the restaurant.
Mhm. Mhm.
So,
There,
yes,
there's a quote that says you are the average of the five people you spend the most time with.
yes.
How 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 does that align with purpose?
Well, it aligns with purpose to me perfectly because what you'll find is that you'll have people that's in your space that are comfortable, and that's their right to be comfortable.
Mhm.
But it's also not their right to make you comfortable in their space.
Mhm.
In other words, there's people who will celebrate you when you have wins, but
Mhm.
the most important thing you do in life is your direct circle. When you have a celebration going on, you
Mhm.
need to watch very carefully who is not excited. You need to watch very carefully who's not celebrating with you, because that's the person that can be your friend, but they can't be your inner circle. I tell my clients all the time, every 3 to 5 years, I do it myself as well. You check your inner circle. Make sure you know who's on your team, if they're in the right seat,
Mm.
if they're even on should be on your direct bus, or they should have an on-off exit. Because the higher you go, that air gets too thin for some people. So you got to be very cognizant of who's in your space.
That's real
Because
life.
yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's real life. I mean, we tend to say, we outgrow people,
Yes,
but sometimes it may not necessarily be that. It just may be about, like you said, who really wants you to win.
that's right. Yeah, because there's people put in your space to push you.
Mm-hmm.
There's folks put in your space also to hold you down.
Mm-hmm.
There's people put in your space to push you off the cliff.
Mm.
There's people in your space also to not even allow you to see the cliff. At
Oh.
some point in your career, you have to jump off the cliff.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, you never know you can fly. And even the worst case scenario, I tell people, when you hit the ground, if you're up talking about it, now you know how hard a fall you can take.
You
So it's very
know,
important.
yeah, you don't jump, you don't know that you can fly. So
Right.
I struggle with that. I struggle with the risk part.
Yes.
I don't struggle as much as knowing what I love, but I struggle with the risk part. Like, help us, you tell us how we develop that growth mindset where, um, we want to become better, we want to grow, and we're okay with taking the risk, whatever they may be, to grow.
It's one thing you have to do is you really have to look at again your personal space. I make all my clients journal. And so I make them look at every Friday, make them sit down, either with a glass of wine if you're a wine person, or just kind of sit
Mm-hmm.
down in a private space
Mm-hmm.
and just by yourself and take 20 minutes, half hour, knock it off your calendar, and go by yourself and just look at what you journal during the week. Look at the time. I tell them put down the time you do your journal. And if you look at something, think back of, okay, if I had journal a horrible thought, and think, ask yourself, who was the last person you spoke to before you wrote that down? If it was John, well, I know John irritates me. So guess what? I need to be careful how much time I give John during the day, how much space I give John, how much real estate in my head I give John. But I can still love John and give him minimum to zero real estate in my headspace.
Mm.
Because we get caught up in trying to be people pleasers and not realizing that you have a job to do. You have work to get done. The main thing you want to do with that is make sure you really are focusing on asking yourself again, I was saying earlier, before you go to bed at night, whose life did I make better?
Mm-hmm.
What was the best memory I had today of making someone laugh, making someone smile, or making someone even say, wow. And you can do that in many ways. Go to a place, your favorite place for lunch, and you might leave a cash tip in the person's hand instead of on the check, because most places they give a percentage of that back to the
Yeah.
store.
Mm-hmm.
You might say, okay, I'm going to start keeping cash in my pocket just for tips.
Mm-hmm.
So credit card, of course, for the business write-off, common sense.
Yeah.
but keep cash in your pocket, give that person a tip cash and watch their face. But just make sure that you also, yeah, appreciate your service today. I know this is your job, but it means more to me than that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say.
Yeah, we're at a break. We're gonna be back in a moment with Coach James Bond, and continue to figure out how to discover our purpose right here on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM. We'll be back in a moment. And we're still here on 94.7 FM, Doctor to Doctor in the chat room. I am here with life coach, Mr. James Bond, and we're talking about discovering your purpose. He actually has a book, Discover Your Purpose, and he's going to talk about that a little later in the broadcast. You were talking about journaling. I don't know whether to be embarrassed to say this or feel great about it. I have journaled for too many years to count. And my
Awesome.
whole purpose in that, right, is like I want to be a little bit better today than I was yesterday. So I just
Yes.
kind of pull out some highlights from my day. And as time has evolved, there was a time when I was literally writing it down. And now I'm making in my memo, in my notes, in my phone, and I'm dating it, and all I really do is go back and reflect a few days back and and then I'll compare that to where I am today. But I never thought about how that might help me discover and move into my purpose.
Yes, it does. That's why I said I make all my clients journal. I know the word make is kind of strong, but I
Yeah.
strongly suggest that they all
Mm-hmm.
journal.
Mm-hmm.
Because again, what you need to find out is where your thought pattern is. So some people journal and use after a couple years use it to write a book, which is a good idea also. But people need to journal in general. Generally, journaling to me, it helps you again. Where's my mindset during the day? Where's my mindset during the? Tell my clients keep a journal by the bed, keep it in the car, keep another one, in their office somewhere. Doesn't be anything fancy, You start
Yeah.
start start go to the dollar store for God's sakes
Mm-hmm.
and get you a 99-cent notepad.
Mm-hmm.
But when you journal, write down the time and the date. Like I said earlier,
Yeah.
because you're going to make sure that if you have a weird thought, a thought that didn't make any sense, a thought of pain, a thought of anger, I need you to step back and ask yourself, okay, so if I wrote this down at 2:05:15, who did I talk to between 12 and 2? Or
Mm-hmm.
I talked to John, I talked to Susie. Well, Susie irritates me. So again, you got to make sure the one thing you have
Good
to do is you
point.
have to control your space as much as you can.
Mm-hmm.
So if this person makes me out of place, makes me off kilter, I need not give them so much real estate unnecessarily.
Mm-hmm.
So one thing I do when I speak somewhere about relationships communication, I tell people to pull out their cell phones. That's okay. Well, who was the last three people that you talked to? Write them down real quick on a sheet of paper. And I want you to thought each person, how did they encourage you? What did they say to encourage you? They say, wow, nothing. Okay, then why are you talking to those people every day?
Right. Back to those 5 people being the average. Wow.
Yes, yes, control your space because what you do is that, one of my mentors, John Maxwell, says, that you got to be careful because some people will come to you and they will supposedly your friend in your inner circle. Now they come to you and they're dipping their ladle in your bucket and there's like telling you other issues. And you say, you know what? Oh, by the way, man, I want to ask a question. A girl wants to get, let me tell you what I'm going through. Oh, I have to go. I'm sorry. Let me call you back. Wait a minute. Wait. So they can come and take water from your bucket with a
Mm.
ladle. Yet when it's time to pour back into you, they have to go.
Mm-hmm.
So again, why are you giving this person real estate and time? Time is the most valuable thing we own. It's not money. People are always for years being taught wrong. You can make more money, you get a better job, you can get more clients, but you cannot get more 24 hours. It's
Mm-hmm.
24, that's it.
Yeah.
So secure your space and monitor your time very carefully.
Um, we've got this thing now, and I think you hear it more in the Christian world about a vision board. How does creating your own personal vision statement or vision board, how does that come into play when you are trying to move into your purpose?
I think that vision boards, I do it myself every year. And I
Mm-hmm.
do it for some clients also. We try to get it done by November 30th,
Mm-hmm.
mid first week December.
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of look at it. You can kind of look at it, have it somewhere in your office or on your cell phone. So you can glance at it at least once every 3 days. That's my
Mm-hmm.
recommendation. Because if you don't know what you're looking for, then you're going nowhere.
Wow.
If you don't know which direction you need to go, then you're going nowhere. And if you think you're a leader but have no followers, you're just taking a walk. And that walk
Mm-hmm.
could be very lonely. And that walk also could misuse time. So it's very careful to know what you want. Now, some people do vision boards that are just out of this world, which is not a good thing
Mm-hmm.
because your goal should be very tough to get to, but not unreachable.
Okay.
So it's very important to clarify that. If you say, okay, I want to have a Lamborghini Ventura. Okay, well, right now you're with minimum wage job and you get started your business. It's a great idea, but be careful that on the vision board. That could be in your mission statement, that could be in your journal,
Mm-hmm.
but your vision board, that is going to be you need to reach, like to reach for the stars, reach for the sky, moon, and you hit the stars. I appreciate that. But also you don't want to set yourself up for failure. And a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people do that.
Yeah, so small wins are good, and
Yes.
if we're trying to transition into
Yes.
purpose.
Yes, and
Um,
celebrate those small wins.
mhm. Uh, friends versus foe.
Yes, friend, that's a great thing. One thing that we are so, again, I say this because of the Western civilization and because of the world also, but we are so focused on calling people our friend. I did a speech on this many years ago, and first did it was years and years ago now in the state of Florida. And so, it's end of the day, research shows many universities, University of Virginia, University of Michigan did one as well years ago, like 17-year research project on this. And they said the average person can have no more than two best friends in a lifetime. That's a strong statement. Strong statement.
Well,
Now,
let
if
me
you
let
have,
me just insert this before you finish. I apologize for
yes,
cutting you
that's
off.
okay. You're fine.
My grandmother, and I will quote her almost daily in my life. She said, "If you find yourself one
Yes,
good
one.
friend in your lifetime, you've done something."
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it's like I said, they say from a psychology standpoint, they say more
Mm-hmm.
than two in a lifetime. Now,
Mm-hmm.
some might rotate in and out here and there, but because we don't understand what the word friend means. The word friend in reality, in my definition, means someone who is going to push you, someone who is going to let you lean on them,
Mm-hmm.
someone who's going to not judge you, someone who's not going to have your information once you take off your cape. It's not going to be on social media or Facebook in the next 15 years when you're done talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's not going to say you're no good, who's not going to say give that up. That's too much. Stop all that
Mm-hmm.
craziness. Stop all that crazy. Entrepreneur, who you think you are? That's not a person who's your friend. That person, but a person that really understands where you want to be and does their part to help you get there.
Mm.
But we take friend as someone who smiles at us.
Yeah.
We take friend as someone who. Now the other part of that too is you have to have foes. Now some young people call them haters or whatever they call them now,
Yeah.
but you have to have that
Mm-hmm.
because that is your motivation.
For the
Because
to reaching your purpose.
that's right. Give
Okay.
up because somebody's going to say you're not good enough. Well, am I going to prove them wrong? So I think you have to have people who are waiting for you to fail. But I put a quote the other day on LinkedIn is that the point of that someone's holding your breath, holding their breath, excuse me, waiting for you to fail. Now, my suggestion, not mean statement, my suggestion is for you to allow them to suffocate
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah.
because you have a right to succeed.
Mm-hmm.
But no one's going to want you to succeed more than you. That's why it's so important to work on your self confidence, but understand you have friends, but you also need foes. Everybody is not your friend. Everybody's not put in a place to be.
I think more often than not, we find that we were a friend to someone, but they weren't
Yes,
necessarily one to us. they
that's right.
stuck they stuck around because they were getting a friend in us.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. That's
How
right.
does when you talk about that, that makes me just think about relationships in general. How can they, impact living in your purpose, the person, your life partner?
Yeah, I think that's the main thing with that is a person that you take time, if you're life partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, spouse, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to be cognizant of letting them know this is my long-term goal.
Mm-hmm.
This is my long-term dream.
Mm-hmm.
Now, their responsibility of that space they occupy in your life,
Mm-hmm.
in your real estate life, is to make sure they do their part.
Mm-hmm.
Rather, it's to be to check your books, ask you daily, weekly, hey, where are you at in your goal? Why have you done this? Why have you done that? I think that we get caught up into saying what our friends want to hear.
Yeah.
If you're a real friend, you're gonna tell me what I don't want to hear and what I
Mm-hmm.
need to hear.
Mm-hmm.
So because you have to make sure that people occupy your friend space are those people who are going to say, "Hey, man, what are you doing? I see you sleeping. What are you doing?" That's I see these people who don't what you don't sleep. So how you figure this out? Where you at today? Yeah, give me update. Update could be as you're working out together. Update could be as you're talking on the phone. Update, but they need to be able to they're in your corner to keep moving you moving you down the road, not just telling you you're great while your business is failing.
Mm-hmm.
That's not what a friend is put in position for, or spouse, or significant other. They need to
Mm-hmm.
challenge you. What are you doing? And then do the parts you can't. Well, I can't type that. Okay, well then I'll give me it down, dictate to me, and I'll type it real quick for you.
Mm.
I'll make 5 or 10 minutes out of the time. I'll make. Well, I can't. Okay, I'm research this. Here's a couple of links to look at. Or I bought these two books for you to read. Can you read them about in 2 weeks?
Mhm.
So that's what that person should be doing, to be helping you understand, okay, now we're going to this tough space, the air is thin up here. I got my gas mask on. Here, put yours on now.
Mhm.
That's what real friends are supposed to do.
So how did James Bond land in the space that he's in? How did you get here?
Oh my goodness, that's a long, short story. I was in the automotive business for years, working for Mercedes, BMW, and Audi. And I always wondered, how come people always want to tell me what's on their mind, tell me their issues, tell me their super personal things. I mean, I had to since I was a kid, and I didn't like it. I was like, what is this about? And then as I got more into my word, I realized I had the gift of discernment, and I had the gift of leadership. And so I thought, well, how can I make this? Okay, what am I supposed to do in this life? So I was in my talent for years, made a lot of money, my talent. But then one day woke up and realized I need to be doing my work where time is
I
up.
want you to finish your story, but I want you to expound on that. You were in your talent for
Yes.
years. Are
Yes.
you are you distinguishing between talent and gift?
Yes. Yes. Big
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
Yeah, big difference. The difference is going to be your talent is what you're again, it's like work and job.
Yeah.
Your talent is what you can do in your sleep. You can do blindfold, you can do one hand behind your back. But your gift is operating in where you're going to be benefiting the entire world. You're going to be doing this with effort because that effort is a part of the gifting that you have.
Mhm.
That's the difference. I can do my talent in my sleep. So my talent was being in automotive business and being in highline business. So I could always, and it was unique to me because I realized early on that one thing I could hold my hat against is that I never had buyer's remorse. It was meaning that I wasn't a salesperson who was going to convince you of anything. But my talent was I could tell you that this pen I have is the best pen on earth. And I can explain to you the design of it, the build of it. At that point, I want that pen you have. I need that pen you have. So that was my thing because people say, well, you got to convince people. I don't want to convince anybody, but I want to break down the fact of this pen is the best pen you ever write with. Now I have
Mhm.
one. You can have it. It's going to cost you a fee. But
Yeah.
if you don't have it, you won't write at your best.
Yeah.
Make your signature at your best. You won't be
Uh-huh.
able to feel the capacity of this pen, which is triangular shape, not round. You won't understand that because of that fact, your fingers won't go numb after writing for hours. Also, you won't get those blisters on your fingers because this pen shape significantly monetizes that fact of the way your hand actually is shaped around an instrument of writing. And
Mhm.
so for that purpose, I had that gift. I could sell ice to an Eskimo
Wow.
because eventually he would say, wow, your ice seems colder than my ice. Yeah, I think I want your eyes. And so that was my talent. But my gifting was that teaching that aspect of it as well.
Mhm.
Because everybody again deserves to win and wants to win, but everybody that knows how to win. Because there used to be a saying where some people can do it or teach it. Well, I find myself I can do both. And so by that now I can develop it, I can grow, I can make a bigger impact of teaching, a bigger impact of telling you, guess what? Your life, yeah, I'm not gonna downsize or or make your situation not as significant.
Mhm.
But I'm also going to tell you that because you're talking about it, you're already halfway through it.
Mm.
And so that fact, people say, well, yeah. Also, you know how hard you just got punched. So now you know how hard a punch you can take. But people that anybody ever told anybody that over the years, I thought, well, this is a good space to be in because and I was just talking to my attorney. He said, yeah, you need to reinvent yourself. This is life. This is going to be you because you can write a business plan in your sleep.
Mhm.
You can make people feel like they can go run through fire. You can
Mhm.
make well because everybody can run through fire. It's the mindset is so important because people wake up unfortunately with a mindset of defeat. I tell people all the time because again my faith beliefs. I tell my clients when it's stressed out. So when it's raining outside, no, of course not when it's cold outside. But if it's a regular rain outside, like a normal rain, whenever you're at the country here, I dare you to go out in your patio, sit in a chair, and meditate and pray in the rain.
Mm.
Everybody who's done that come back and say, "What? Who are you?" So what do you mean by that? I felt so washed and relief. I said, yeah, because rain has to happen because things have to be cleansed.
Yeah.
Things have to grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so you find yourself meditating in the rain, you realize, guess what? You don't know if you're crying or if it's just raining.
Mm.
But either way, the sky, the earth is releasing. So once you release as well, you have a brand new fresh slate to start from.
Mm-hmm.
Because guess what? If you're not going to be better today than you were tomorrow, why do you need tomorrow?
Mm.
Don't need to. If you're going to be better tomorrow than you were today, why do you need tomorrow?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point?
Yeah.
And you can be
Yeah.
if you check your circle of friends and you start to monetizing and you start to honoring and you started to honor your own time. Who are you talking to? Why are you talking to?
Mm-hmm. So how much fear was attached to your transitioning into your purpose and leaving all of those things that you were so talented in?
Well, my fear, again, because it was very small, because I'm a person that I like to just jump off and see what happens. But the one thing I do, I take my clients through one of my favorite books is Failing Forward.
Mm-hmm.
So I take my client through the fact of understanding that even the acronym for fear that I use on all of my clients' paperwork is going to be false evidence appearing real. That's
Mm.
what fear means, false evidence appearing real. But also, when they get a chance to walk through this process with me and realize the faster you fail, the quicker you are to success. They're like, what do you mean? So when I walk through that, they're like, are you, this is crazy. Yes, because in life, two things happen. Professional teach salespeople. Make a client say no as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do a lot of work with most of the other companies. I love how the brain functions.
Mm-hmm.
And the brain, when it comes to certain decisions, it's either yes or no. And so if I make you say no fast as I can, your brain is going to fight tooth and nail not to say yes.
Yeah.
But it wants to say yes because at that point, as long as you are a student of your business, in other words, if you know your product inside and out, how to explain it, not to pitch it.
Mm-hmm.
I have an issue with pitching, but to explain it in detail enough to know why your product is better, why your product is much more conducive for the situation. But before that, opportunity comes up, make them say no as fast as you can.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing is going to be yes. It never fails.
We're at break again. I wanna come back and talk about so I've decided that I want to figure out my purpose. I've heard about Coach James Bond, and I reach out to him, and he's going to take me through a process. I want to talk about what that process looks like when we come back from break. We'll be right back in a moment on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM. Still here with Coach James Bond. Coach Bonds, talk us through the process. I've decided that I want to discover my purpose. Heard about you. I reach out. First of all, how do I reach out? And when I do, what's the process? And I'm hoping that you work with clients virtually and as well as in person. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah, I do. My website is welldrivenlife.com. The best way to reach me quickly, of course, is going to be 866-775-5233. That is
Okay.
the best way to reach me on that case. But yeah, find out your purpose in life. It's the thing I take people through. Actually, I take them through actually a booklet that I have for each client because what I find is that each client is different. I always tell people, I am my line on LinkedIn is the best life coach on planet Earth, and some people are offended by that,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not
Mm-hmm.
because I know that I am the best life coach. Now, I'm not a coach for everybody, absolutely not. But
Mm-hmm.
am I the best life coach? Yes, it's because this is my calling. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a game. It's not
Mm-hmm.
a hobby. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
It's what I'm put on earth to do.
Mm-hmm.
But the main thing I do is tell people also to write down again, like I said earlier with the phone situation. I tell people, okay, well, can you name 5 friends that influenced you this week, that promoted you this week, that you talked to? If not this week, let's go back. Let's just say this month. And then if you write down those names on a sheet of paper, okay, so now each one of those friends, What did they tell you that encouraged you this week about your life dream? Oh, you didn't tell them. So how are they your friends? Now you're limiting yourself to what friends really mean from your side.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I told one person. Okay, so now it's your mom or your dad. Okay, so what did they tell you besides, oh, you're great, you're wonderful? What did they tell you with some more substance?
Mm-hmm.
They tell you to get to work, did they buy you a book? Did they pay for your class to
Mm-hmm.
take on entrepreneurship?
Mm-hmm.
Did they give you article reading? So the main is, I tell people first we start off with drawing a circle, and the circle is going to have 8 quadrants in it. Each quadrant is going to have something there. For instance, it's going to say one say family, one say career, one say job, one says friends, one says relatives, one says finances. And you have to answer each of those questions for me. Okay, so if you were to walk away from your job today to do your work, how long would you have before you were homeless?
Mm-hmm.
How many days would you have? How many months would you have? Because the rule of thumb has always been have 6 months emergency fund.
Mm-hmm.
Something comes up. So do you consider your purpose in emergency? It
Mm-hmm.
should be.
Yeah.
If you don't, let's go back to say why is it not?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so once you figure it out, okay, so how much time would you say out of 100%? How much percent do you give your family? How much percentage of your time do you give your friends? How much percentage do you give your dream? How much percentage do you give your other activities in that circle they wrote down?
Mm-hmm.
And then I will, of course, come back and say, okay, well, this should be friends, national averages. This should be work. This should be dream. This should be entrepreneurial standpoint. Like I said earlier, that most entrepreneurs need to know that you have to be careful of listening to your friends who are living a dream that is not true.
Mm.
What I mean by that, I had one person in the south part of the United States call me. I'm frustrated because all my girlfriends are making, working 3 hours a week and they're making 100 grand a year. They're making 200 grand a year. Okay, well, great. These are your close girlfriends. You need to invite them over to your house. Glass of wine time, girl week, girl day, whatever, girl night. Sit down and ask them the questions, the hard questions. After sitting there and get comfortable, a few glasses dinner, snacks, charcuterie board, a glass of wine. Then next week, this person called me. They were in tears, but also kind of angry
Mm-hmm.
because out of their 5 girlfriends, none of them are living the life they post on social media.
Oh, I'm not shocked at all.
I said, so you're going to quit your job,
Mm-hmm.
being a single mom, because your friends are now. You need to now. Next question is ask them why they're your friends,
Mm-hmm.
because they need to let you know. You know what? That's just social. That's the social media life. I'm a star on social media, but I'm not really doing that because you're getting ready to make a decision going to alter your children's life
Mm-hmm.
based off of something that you thought was real. So be very cognizant also. And also, I'll tell my clients to make sure that now is time to invest.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, if you have a dream of being B, you have a dream of being a real estate person.
Mm-hmm.
This coming year, you need to go to 2 real estate conferences. You need to go. Take your vacation time and invest in yourself. If you want to be whatever you want to be, you need to not even be a student of that business. You should have a a a a, um, a YouTube channel on your thing. History should be full of real estate conversations.
Mm-hmm.
You should have a book. Your library should not be all focused on real estate investment books. How to be a real estate person. How to do sales. How to do sales. If not, why are you playing games with yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Because what you realize of that too is going to be, oh, that was just a fantasy. That wasn't real.
Yeah.
Because the worst thing we do is lie to ourselves. So now you're okay. Your purpose. What would I do for free? Literally for free. Now
Mm-hmm.
now people will pay for that. But okay, I will do that. Okay, great. Now make sure that it's not a talent. Make sure you have to work at getting good at it. If it comes naturally, that's probably close to the line of being a talent.
Okay.
Now, some gifts are again, they're going to be. You got to make sure you do a little bit more analysis of what you're talking about,
Mm-hmm.
but make sure that you are focused on the fact of what you are put on earth to do.
Mhm.
Not put on earth to make shoes. Not put on earth to design shoes. Not put on earth to wear shoes, to model shoes.
Mhm.
But it all is different. So the main thing is take time to get, again, that influence. And one of the most powerful ones I tell people, again, who is your circle of friends?
Mhm.
Your circle of friends, what are you? Are you number 8, the talent level or smart level? Are you number 9 or 10? They say 9. They say anything above a 5, you're in the wrong group.
Wow.
You're in the wrong group. And your circle of friends, you should be no more than 5. If at 5, look for another group.
Did someone help you through this process? And I guess it's twofold. And did you kind of discover it, you know, just kind of jumping off the ledge?
Well, for well, for me, it's yes, off the ledge, yes. But for me, I always keep I keep 2 now, a mentor. I keep 2 mentors. And a mentor should be someone who's already been where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
Stop, stop, stop having a mentor that is trying to go where you're trying to go. My personal professional opinion.
Mhm.
Because I learned years ago that you can't take me where you haven't been.
Mm.
You may have good intentions. You may be on your way there. But you cannot take, if I come to Orlando, Florida right now, I'm in Orlando, Florida. I say, okay, I need to go shopping for some grown up clothes. If a person who does not know is going to take me to the Florida Mall,
Yeah.
I'm going to be embarrassed. A person who knows is going to go take me to Millennium Mall
Mhm.
where the grown folks shop.
Okay.
Big difference. You may have good intentions, but you can't take me where you haven't been. I appreciate your honesty. I appreciate your goodwill, but you cannot take if you have not set and counted, not investment property. If you have not counted 7 figures, you have no right. What can you take me to 7 figures? I'm sorry.
Wow.
I'm sorry. You cannot. You cannot. You can love me to death, but you don't know what that looks like. Because myself, when I hit that number years ago, I realized, oh, this is what taxes look like.
Mhm. Mhm.
This is what having an accountant and a CPA,
Mhm.
and then every 6 months, a third person come in and audit those 2 people.
Yeah.
You don't know. You don't know. You just don't know. And it's okay. But you have to get a mentor who's been where you're trying to go.
Mhm.
So that's what I did to myself. And they pushed me off the cliff. They said, do you want, how bad do you want it? And, people talk about cliches, push you in the water and under the water. How bad do you want to breathe? That's
Mhm.
how bad you have to want it. But the key, when I tell my class now, the key myself, when I hit that 7-figure number, is now the benefit to having someone like me, for instance, I can tell you the cost. It costs to be a millionaire. It costs. And that price for some people is too high.
Mhm.
And for instance, I paid too much to get to that number. I paid too much.
Mhm.
But I would never know it if I hadn't been there to know I paid too much. So
Yeah.
now I can help you. This is the cost. Are you willing to pay? No. Then back down. Willing to pay? Yes. Then let's step off the cliff. But the key is a lot of people have good intentions, have great intentions, but they don't know the way.
Yeah. Um, turning your pain to purpose. Is that a cliche? If not, how you do that?
Well, that's another one of my favorite books. I read like 40 pages a day of different books.
Mhm.
I'm an avid reader, but yes, that's because that book. Sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. But scratch out the word lose. Anytime you have pain, that has to be in your journal. Because a few things now you know what didn't work. Now you know how painful that was. Now you know how hard a hit you could take. So, in my opinion, you never ever lose. You just learn where not to go, learn how not to go, learn who not to trust, learn who's in your corner, learn who's got your back, learn who secretly is waiting for you to fail. Learn who your cheerleader is, besides your mom, besides your dad. You learn that from opportunity to what the world calls failing. I call it learning. You have to
Mhm,
learn every single day. And you never
mhm,
fail. You learn what doesn't work. So that
mhm.
causes, so your pain should be a motivator.
So how are we finding these the mentors? How are we seeking out, the right people to have, in our circles at the
That's the,
table?
that's a that's a great question. Now, how I recommend it you could do that is okay, so if you want to be again a real estate person, so if you're a town, you can look it up to see the top real estate agent in your person
Hmm.
in your town. At that point, you go to networking events. It's not stalking. Let's be careful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But it is find out where this person is networking, and you continue to get that person's. You find them, you call them, ask them to give you, take them out to lunch, take them out to lunch, ask them out for coffee. But then when you get there, you make sure you pay. That's the
Hmm.
key. You pay,
Hmm.
and then let them know up front. I have a notepad. Let them know clearly because guess what? Most people who are super successful, they want to pour into people. People don't believe that, but they actually want to pour into people. They want to leave a legacy, which is pouring into people. So it might take you 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 2 months, 4 months. Person might say, "Who are you? What? Are I'm paying." Now, when you take this person out to successful to lunch, you take them to a high end place. Now, if you got to save up, budget,
Hmm. Hmm.
extend your credit card,
Hmm.
you don't take them to Panera if they're at this multi. No. Now, they don't necessarily care, but you want to make sure the respect from your side.
Yeah.
And then when you take them, you ask, look, this is, you don't tell them, see, it's not a secret. I need to ask you, and then you also, before you go, you have 5 specific questions right now. How do you do what you do? How long you been doing what you do? Who was your biggest cheerleader? What was the first time you failed, and how did you react to that? The last question is going to be, how did you invest in yourself? Did you extend your credit card? Did you go to family and friends for funds? How did you do those 5 questions are very important because again, I found that in those circles that most of those people, if not all of them, they actually want to pour into people,
Hmm.
but they want to feel respected.
Hmm.
So that's how you find a mentor. Who's doing what you want to do?
Hmm.
And you tell a person, look, can I buy you lunch once a month, once a quarter, whatever time you can afford in your budget? But you let them know what you're doing because I need to know what you know. And I'm going to pay you for it. And I might not pay you for it with a nice lunch.
Hmm.
And I just want to take 30 minutes of your time. But I need to know what you know. Because what you know is give me where I have to be.
Wow.
That's how you find a mentor. And it's going to take some work because people are going to be, who is this guy? What is he talking about? No, you have to put in the effort and say, look, I am desperately needing to know what you know.
And I believe you that, successful people want to pour into others. Every milestone in my life, I've wanted to reach back. Seriously, I've
Yes,
wanted to. Sometimes I was really struggling with like, how do I? As a matter of fact, this show is one of my ways
yes,
of reaching back, right?
awesome.
And because I believe there are more of those people, those folks that you talked about on Facebook saying that they're so successful or whatever. You'll find those people aren't trying to pour into anybody because honestly, they haven't made
They're
it
not.
themselves.
That's right. They're not. Yeah, they're not. Yeah, yeah. They're living in the social media world, and that's
Mhm.
their right. They was well live. But to the point, to the detriment of other people, it's unfair.
So you call yourself a soldier, yet you keep running from the fight. Where did that come from?
That came from a lot of my clients. Like, this is too hard. This is too. What are you talking about? This success costs something. So if you're going to be in this fight, grinding from the bottom to the top conversation, if you're going to be out there, making it happen, if you're going to be a music person, you're going to show up at this club. tell them give you 5 minutes to sing or 5 minutes to tell your comedy. And you're gonna slip the owner of the club whatever, $50, whatever you got in your pocket. If you're gonna be, a top car salesperson me, for instance, my line was Highline. So I couldn't tell a person about a Mercedes or a Bentley in a pitch. Those clients don't want a pitch. They can smell a pitch a mile away.
Yeah.
They want to know color. How soon
Yeah.
can I leave?
Yeah.
People, it's not $90 a month. They know it already. So they want to know, how much do you value my time?
Mm-hmm.
And so
Wow.
I'm a student of what I do. So I knew everything about German manufacturing. Everything you could think of, I knew. I also knew where to start the fight. If you came in on crutches, I didn't talk about 0 to 60 horsepower. I
Yeah.
talked about airbags and
Yeah.
safety structures in the car. If you came in, and you had some, off outfit on, you were talking about you pull up in a hot rod outside. Now I'm talking about 0 to 60 horsepower, nothing about airbags.
Yeah.
So you have to adjust your conversation to the client. You came in, you're a seasoned person with some years on you. I talked about home delivery. I could bring it to you. I had a cup of coffee before we start talking on my desk waiting for you. You have to understand who is in front of you.
Wow.
I tell my clients, and I teach my salespeople to look at haircuts and look at watches. Because clothes, if you don't know the clothes market, you're going to be thrown off by that. So I thought, because I had a guy come in there, he had on cut off sweatpants, a cut off t-shirt on. They're like, this dude can't buy. I said, look again. He had on a $55,000 watch. He can buy anything he want to buy.
Mm-hmm.
So, but because, get caught up, we have to look, and that's not stereotyping. Yeah, that's reality on some things.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's also, understand who people are and understand that in that certain world, the client knows more than you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So at that point, you respect their time and you work on your art of listening. And the rest of it will take care of itself.
We've got about 30 seconds. Any final thoughts for the audience?
Yes, in this life, don't own what you don't own.
Woo! All right. We have been talking to Coach James Bond about discovering our purpose, and I am so honored to have you here, sir. And I thank you for carving out some time to be here. We thank you guys for being here, and as always, we ask that you come back next Saturday, same chat channel, same chat time, right here on Doctor to Doctor in the chat room on 94.7 FM. We will see you then.